Anthony and Ruth Vassar-Manland are with me in the studio. Do you think Cairo's serious about severing ties with Israel? A lot of reports coming out now.
There's a lot of disinformation in what I've just heard, and I have a lot of respect for the former speaker. In fact, she's one of the best, in my opinion. But in this particular analysis, I beg to differ. I think that there's a huge misunderstanding, first of all, on the part of Israeli decision makers as per the sensitivity, the Egyptian sensitivity of the whole issue from the beginning. This is extremely sensitive. They've been declaring this, the Egyptians, that they are extremely unhappy about hordes of Palestinians moving from Rafah area into their arena, and knowing the Hamas, knowing how manipulative the Hamas is, seeing the Hamas from their eyes as an enemy. They know that the Hamas will attempt to manipulate the situation in a manner of moving the Palestinian civilians exactly toward that end. And especially now with moving towards the Rafah crossing and putting the Israeli flag, there was a teeny bit of sensitivity that perhaps could have been handled a little bit better by the Israelis. But having said all that, the Americans trying to get Egyptian, Moroccan, and Emirati troops on the ground before Hamas is being destroyed. In other words, the Americans are inviting whom? The Egyptians, the Emiratis, and the Moroccans to be slaughtered by Hamas, or to be the sort of dolls on a string, puppeteered by the Hamas to do what the Hamas will tell them to do? Because we had that happen in 2006 with the Fatah, and what had happened was that they were shot in the knees and thrown out of the windows.
Well, they say that they would agree to it now if there was some steps towards a Palestinian state.
Forgive me, I defer to Ruth's expertise dealing with the former panelist, the former contributor. I don't know why that person was platformed to spout that absolute drivel.
Well, she's a serious journalist.
I thought that was
Very
absolutely appalling.
journalist.
I thought it was appalling. I think that was propagandist nonsense. The idea that Israel isn't concerned about the displaced Gazans in the area of Rafah is false. 450 of them, 1,000 of them have been moved out. The Egyptians are culpable for much of what happened on October 7th, and the Egyptians are in breach of international norms by not absorbing the displaced Gazans who were there around the area of Rafah. And finally, there's much to be critical about with regard to Prime Minister Netanyahu, but refusing to cede the ground to the notion of a two-state solution is not one of them. The idea that we would enter into any discussions, serious discussions about a two-state solution ever, but
I mean, to be fair, she was simply saying something similar to what the Israeli defense minister has said, that Israel needs to come up for a plan post-war in Gaza.
No, I thought there was a lot more that she said than what Gallant said. Gallant said that we need to come up with a plan, but she said that Israel hasn't taken into account any of the sensitivities of Egypt when it comes to this, the security of the Sinai Peninsula. I wonder how Egypt would feel if Israel had moved a bunch of its fighters into the Sinai Peninsula to go and attack 1,200 civilians over there. The Egyptians let that happen. It happened on their watch, happened on Sisi's watch. He's culpable, and I don't think that we should excuse this simply based on the fact that this individual is a storied journalist. She's wrong about what she said, and people need to know that she's wrong.
All right, but she's not with us to defend herself, so let's not talk about that.
But I'd like to maybe emphasize one issue. It is wrong to say that Israel doesn't care for the security of Egypt, particularly because Israel had allowed Egypt to open the peace accord again and again in the past years, and to enter more soldiers and more military men into the Sinai Peninsula over and above what is permitted in the peace agreement, not only men, but also tools and military equipment. So on the contrary, Israel has given intelligence and permission to the Egyptians to defend themselves. But they could have been a tad more sensitive about maybe coordinating, because there is such a huge sensitivity. However, as I said, the solutions that are raised by the international arena are nonsensical, because it doesn't make sense to leave the Hamas there. And who in their right mind, definitely not the Egyptians, would go in if the Hamas was still there?
Right, okay, thank you.